And now, Michigan Reimagined with Chris Buck.
So, the coronavirus pandemic has challenged the way pretty much everyone does business, but imagine being involved with the movie theaters during this long stretch of shutdowns. So here to discuss how one brand is responding is the Executive Vice President for NCG Cinemas, Mr. Ryan Jankovic. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, thanks, Chris. This is great.
I appreciate you being here, and I empathize, and I'm really grateful that you made it in, because I sit at night sometimes and think about the different types of industries that have to navigate this stuff. Everyone's dealing with hardships, but then you start really focusing in on certain people and you think, how on earth is that industry reacting to this? So I'm really interested in hearing more about your story. So NCG Brands, first of all, tell us what NCG stands for, and what does your portfolio of theaters look like?
Yeah, so NCG is the Neighborhood Cinema Group, and we've been in business since 1985, so showing movies and entertainment. Started with one small 3-screen in Owasso, Michigan, and now we're in 9 states. So we're growing, and we love the movies.
That's fantastic. Oh, so Owasso, born and bred, huh?
That's right.
And then, Michigan and spread out. So 9 states.
9 states. Yep.
Fantastic. So, NCG, there's a lot of theaters out there, and you now start to realize that they're all, branded, right? There are companies that own a bunch of them. I think when I was growing up, you had the movie theater down the road that seemed to operate as its own single stand. So what's NCG known for? Do you have any specific value proposition or twists or services that you provide that maybe is a little different than other competitors?
Well, it's in the name. I mean, Neighborhood Cinema Group, you won't find us in Michigan. We have 10 locations in Michigan. You won't find us in Detroit or Grand Rapids or some of the bigger cities. But, our largest location across all of NCG is right here in Lansing. So this is, if you've been out to Eastwood, you've seen it's a great theater. It's clean, it's modern, it's fun. But beyond that, Owasso, Elma, Greenville, we're in a lot of Coldwater. Sometimes we're the only movie theater in an entire county. So we are the neighborhood entertainment, and we take a lot of pride in that. Good
for you. Okay. So obviously we're here to talk about the pandemic, so that's all sunshiny and great, and things were normal, and that's wonderful. So all of a sudden, February, March happens, and the radar goes up, and then all of a sudden we all get shut down, and people are really told to stay at home. How at that point did you and your executive team respond? What were the initial thoughts about what was happening to your company?
Well, first, we were consuming information like everybody else. What is this? How serious? How should we react? And it's interesting looking back on it. We were the first before we got any kind of mandate to shut down. It was I believe the 15th or 16th of March. We got all our executives together and we said, this is serious enough. We don't know about this. We need to close. And we were proud. We did this across the board. Little did we know, 24 hours later, most people would be doing this anyway. So we weren't that far ahead of the curve. But our number one, and I say that because our number one priority is safety of our employees. And, at our height, we have over 1,000 employees. And that is number one to us. And without our customers, without our employees, there is no NCG. So I think that was the first thing. And then secondly, it was, how do you reopen safely? It wasn't quickly. It wasn't, being frustrated. We wanted safety first. In fact, out of the 9 states we were actually able to open some of them in mid-May and chose not to because we didn't feel like we were quite ready yet. But then by the beginning of June, we said, okay, we've got the mask policy, we've got the cleaning procedures, we've got the plexiglass, everything that a lot of businesses were doing. We were consuming that and said, this is a safe environment for people to come back. And that's when we decided to reopen one at a time. And in the states we were able to, by the end of June, we had 13 of our 25 locations open.
Really? In June?
In June.
That's fantastic. So was there a lobbying effort to deal with the governors? And it seems like every state's going to have its own threshold as to what their circumstance is and when you can open. Was that a part of it, having to kind of band together and lobby to get things to be allowed to happen?
Well, as an industry, we're very fortunate. We've got great local lobbyists in each state, including here in Michigan. And national, we have a great national lobbyist. We have, some of the stars in Hollywood have come out, and you saw early on, you saw Tom Cruise going to a movie theater and sitting with the general public. And, there's a lot of nostalgia that goes around the movie theater. Our first priority, again, is safety. But, secondly, when we knew we could do it safely, we knew it was a safe environment, it was, how do we communicate that message? But, we are always one to, we're not the experts. We're going to take a step back and let all local government, guide us on what's the safest based on their information.
Sure. But, I think about a lot of the industries. I mean, everybody is affected by this pandemic. And I think about different industries and how they've been able to pivot, right? So you see the arts or musicians will, sell tickets and do a live streaming virtual concert, right? And restaurants can do DoorDash and do curbside takeaway and make adjustments like that. I thought about it a long time, and I can't think about how a movie theater can make an adjustment to try to at least deliver some of its product. So right. You talked a little bit about the pause, and we couldn't be open, and then we worked really hard to figure out how we would open safely. But there must have been a stretch of time during the shutdown where you thought about, can we pivot and do something to generate revenue? Were there any ideas that came up, or was it really just how can we minimize the amount of time we're shut down and do it right when we can open back up?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got great customers and a great community. We opened up for, here in Michigan, Popcorn to Go. We did a number of Fridays consecutively in a row, and I mean, thousands of people came out and waited in long lines for their popcorn. And it wasn't the easiest. We're not really set up to be drive-through popcorn service, but it was a lot of fun.
Right.
And we did gift cards with that. And people have come out of the woodworks to, be supportive. We can't wait till you come back. When you come back, we're going to go to all the movies. And you hear all of these great comments. We took a look into drive-in theaters and pop-up theaters and different things. We've got nice big parking lots, but I think what our decision was is let's do what we do best. We want to provide a great experience, and we have been open in other states. So since even today we're open in 7 of 9 states. So it's not like we're completely out of business across the board. Some of our other theater chains are, and we do feel bad for them, and hope that they get through this as well. But it's just taking small steps.
You mentioned popcorn.
Yeah.
And I got to ask, because I heard a little, something offline about your popcorn and your pride in your popcorn. Tell us that story.
Oh, well, I've tried to recreate it so many times at home, Chris. I just can't make it like we can do it at the theater, and I know so many people agree with it. And our popcorn is locally grown, Shiawassee County. It's one of the biggest, it might be the biggest popcorn farm in the state of Michigan, called I'm All Ears Popcorn, and you'll be seeing and hearing more about it. It is fantastic. But to be homegrown on the farm, I was just out there a few weeks ago. It's a great operation, right to all of our theaters. That's just one of the ingredients that we have. But yeah, we take a lot of pride in our popcorn for sure.
Right, and I heard that from you. Yeah. I can tell, and I think that's fantastic. And that popcorn is shipped to the other states.
Absolutely.
So okay.
Yeah, we've got in a few other theater chains use that same popcorn brand that we use, the I'm All Ears popcorn brand.
Is that right?
Great. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you just mentioned other theater brands. Was there a collaborative spirit? I mean, is there any kind of a grouping of theater owners that say, all right, what are you guys going to do, and how are we going to get through this, and share best practices?
Yeah, I'm going to brag on our local, statewide, and then national lobby groups. They've done a fantastic job, and we're all. It's not a real cutthroat competitive environment, maybe like some of the other industries. There's some competition in some areas for the most part, but we just want everyone to come back to the movies. I mean, that's really, so I would say, yeah, we probably have banded together more than we normally would have, but there's some great theater operators out there, even beyond NCG.
Excellent. So you talk about the studios, and I guess maybe I heard this but didn't really dive into it. Is there content? I mean, were film house, were films being made? And is there? I heard somewhere that said movie theaters are allowed to open, but they're not going to open because there's nothing new to run because nothing got made.
Yeah.
Is there any truth to that, or how does that work?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are multi-million-dollar investments that people have made into this, and they want a return on their investment. So you think of James Bond that got pushed to land. You think of the new Top Gun movie that was supposed to be out that got pushed to land. I mean, these are, when they come out, they will be blockbuster hits, and those got pushed to next year. So now as you take an average year of blockbusters, and you take all the biggest movies and you move them into a year where there's already a run of blockbusters, we predict the years of kind of the second half of next year, 2021 and 2022, we'll have never seen the amount of big hit blockbusters as we're predicting to see. So I think it's going to be a big splash when they come back.
On a larger scale, I heard that about really the arts in general. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of great books, a lot of great poetry, a lot of great movies, a lot of pent up, people with time on their hands.
Be creative.
Quietly creating their craft, and then they're just going to unleash it on everyone. And
it's going to be great.
We should get a lot of good content. That's great. So tell me about this holiday film festival. I noticed on your website that you've got a film festival coming up, and I'd like to hear more about it.
Yeah, it's ongoing right now. So we've done this every year. I think it's 8 or 9 years in a row. But we play a free movie, and usually it's just on the weekends. We'll kind of pick a morning show, 10, 11 o'clock, and we'll play that on a Saturday and Sunday. This year we decided to expand it. Now, obviously, here in Michigan, we're not open, so we're not able to participate here locally. But in the states that we are open, from December 4th all the way up until the 24th, we're showing The Grinch, and then Elf, and then Polar Express, completely free. So you can come in, and there's one, sometimes a couple, if we can squeeze another one in, a couple shows a day to come in, and the turnout's been exceptional. People have really enjoyed the fact. I mean, it's tough times on a lot of people. And if you can come in and bring your family and see a show, I mean, that's what it's all about.
So we're recording this as of mid-December of 2020, and we're in the middle of this kind of second wave of the pause. It started a 3-week pause, and now it's going to be more of a 5 or 6 week pause. So what's your perception on where this is all headed? I just recently heard that some of the movie production studios are going to put new releases on streaming platforms at the same time that they release them to movie theaters that are open. Is that concerning to you, or do you think that's a temporary way for them to try to drive revenue in a weird time and then it'll go back to normal? What's your thoughts on that?
Everyone's doing what they can to grow their business, protect their investment, whether you're a large movie studio or you're a movie theater. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, when we're here in, let's say Lansing area, or we're here in Michigan, or we're here in wherever, it's our job to find the best content that our customers, our neighbors want to be able to see. And, when you see a huge Marvel movie or, whatever the case might be, Disney movie that comes out, those are the blockbusters. They do a great job of marketing. Everyone wants to see it. And in the theater, it's a great experience. Yep. But, moving forward, I mean, the power is really in the hand, and you mentioned earlier, of the storyteller. The storyteller, if you're a great writer, producer, actor, and you're telling stories, there's a lot of different platforms that you can communicate your story on. And so I think the interesting challenge is, before you have a handful of giant, movie studios that are doing a tremendous amount of marketing and really pushing their content, now it may come from a lot of different areas. And so we're working with, these storytellers, some of the smaller studios, some of the indie studios, to really find the content and then let our neighbors know, it's like, hey, this is something that you might be interested in. And depending on the genre and the type of movie and the stars that are in, and really do maybe the movie watching experience a little bit different. Sure.
And I'm up in, I'm a little older gentleman here, and I can tell you that there's nothing like being in the theater. Right. And I've seen some pretty nice basements and nice setups and great sound systems and big screen TVs, but I can tell you, I mean, like you mentioned with your brand, there's nothing like being in the movie theaters. For me, there's a nostalgia. Right. But there's clearly a difference in the quality of the media being pushed onto you, which I think is irreplaceable.
Well, I'll tell you, Chris, I mean, there's, being in business in 35 years, and I haven't obviously been there the whole time, but, hearing the stories and go back, I mean, you talk about the nostalgia. I mean, you've got first dates, you've got, your grandparents taking the movies, your parents taking the movies. You remember, I remember when I saw that movie and this was going on in the world. And we've got employees that met their spouse at the movie theaters. We've got people that went first dates and then got married. We just had a request a couple weeks ago that a couple that had met watching a Batman movie wanted to see if they could rent out a theater and rewatch the same movie that they went on their first date. And the other thing I'll mention is we hear from people in the community, really successful people that we had no idea they'd come back. My first job was at NCG.
I was just going to say, it is, first dates, but also first jobs. No
first
question
jobs,
at all.
Yeah. So, we take a lot of pride in that, not only in being there. It's a career for a number of people, which is great, and we love that. But it's also a first job for a number of people, and we take a lot of pride in the fact that we can be that memory, that first job, for people. And speaking of private theaters, that's one of the other things that we're doing now is we are renting out, entire theaters for events and birthday parties and company events. And when we're packed and you're at capacity, it's almost impossible to do that unless you're off hours or an early morning show. Right. But now, with the capacity limitations, it's a lot easier to rent an entire theater, and it's amazing how many people have been doing that.
That's great. And you also provide, food and beverages.
We do.
Too. So that helps. That's a fantastic idea. I never really thought about that.
That great popcorn we were talking about.
That's right. Yes. So, obviously the comfort of people coming in and being able to experience this. Remind folks about what they'll experience when they come back, because it'll be a different type of theater than it was when they shut you down. So what are people going to experience when they get there?
Well, we're always going to err on the side of safety. So if you're in one of the 7 states that we are open in now, I mean, you can expect that, all of our employees, and we have a mask recommendation across the board. We're part of Cinema Safe, which is a national collaboration of safety procedures, which we were doing well ahead of when Cinema Safe came out, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to watch the recommendations. No matter what people are doing, we're going to always err on the side of safety for our customers, for our employees, and really just can't wait to see everyone back at the movies.
No kidding. Well, we've been speaking with Executive Vice President from NCG Cinemas, Mr. Ryan Jankovic, and I wish you all the best. Congratulations on hopefully making it through all of this, and we look forward to getting back to see the big screen.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Really appreciate it. Thank you.